Because my last name is Yu. Not a lot of people can actually pronounce it. They usually pronounce it as Yu. And then I gave up in saying my last name is Yu. So every time I say my name...
How do you spell that?
Y-U.
Okay.
Usually when I introduce myself, I'll say, my name is Han Yu. Like in Chinese, last name and then first name.
Even with my Chinese friends, they grew up, they'll be like, I don't know why the only name that came out is my ex's name. I haven't talked to her in like years. She'll never find me.
You sure?
Who cares? Chua.
All this stress going on in my life, I thought I know the reason, but I actually don't know the reason. When I'm talking to a person and I'm crying at the same time, I find out what is actually causing all the issues. I feel like crying, it does help with letting go of these negative emotions. With my depression or anxiety, I do like to hold them back. I guess maybe deep in my heart, I don't want to face the fact that I am anxious or I am depressed, but I get to a point where I realize it's just not healthy for you. The people around you, they love you. They want you to rely on them. When you choose to hold it back and not rely on them, it's actually hurting their feelings because they want you to rely on them. Put your guard down a little bit and then just rely on those people. They are really willing to help you because they love you.
Right, so Ashley is one of the most kindest, beautiful, most sweethearted person I've met in Australia. I'm not joking, right? Like, I'm not saying this to gas you up, but you are genuinely one of the like nicest person I've met in Australia. Before we start on your journey, my first question was, what's your favorite Chinese dish?
I feel like I don't really have a preference. I feel like whenever I go back to China, I usually just eat whatever that I couldn't eat in Australia, and they're all my favorites. But if I'm going to pick one, I'm probably go with Chinese traditional pastries, but I have no idea what that's going to be translated into in English.
Just say it.
Like in Chinese?
Yeah, just say it in Chinese.
It's called 枣花酥. So basically it's like a, what do you call it? Like a crusty kind of bakery, and then it has a shape of like a flower, and it has a date stuffing, which is sweet.
Date stuffing?
Yeah.
I've never seen any like Chinese thing with a date.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Because it's quite common in, I guess, north part of the China, and that I think that's my favorite pastry if I'm going to pick one. Maybe because I've been eating that during my childhood. Like whenever I go back to my hometown, my families will buy that for me, so that kind of makes it my favorite. It reminds me of my childhood memory. Yeah.
Not even like a dish. Like your favorite thing is like a snack thing.
Dish.
Dude, if I give you my example, right?
Yeah.
Like I grew up in Singapore, and like my favorite like Chinese, I guess, quote unquote dishes. Not really dishes, but like in our 7-Eleven, there was a lot of like lo mai kai.
What's that?
Do you not know what? Am I good? Am I insane? It's like the glutinous rice thing. Yes.
Ah.
Am I just pronouncing it wrong?
Is it sweet or savory?
It's sweet. The chicken is sweet, and then the rice is savory.
Is it糯米鸡?
I don't know. We call it lo mai kai. Like I just follow.
Oh, I feel like the pronunciation sounds similar. I think it is. I think maybe that is Cantonese. So that's why I couldn't really tell, because I don't speak Cantonese, unfortunately.
To be honest with you, I don't even know, because like Singapore is such a actually this would be a good question to you. Like, in your opinion, right, with your own knowledge, what do you think Singapore is like culturally? What race are we?
Oh, I mean, based on my understanding, I feel like it's very culturally diverse, because I feel like people can have different ethical backgrounds, and because for some people that I know, they probably speak Mandarin, and like you don't speak Mandarin.
Yeah, because I'm Malay, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like it's.
Do you
similar.
Did you think I was Chinese? Like my race was actually Chinese?
No, I mean, like, I know you're not Chinese, but
okay.
I don't know you're Malay. I just know you're from Singapore.
Okay.
Because one of my best friends, she's from Singapore as well, but she has a Chinese background, and then I think she spent like half of the time in China and then half the time in Singapore. So it's really hard to tell like if she's Singaporean or Chinese.
Yeah.
Because she's also very, very Chinese. Like, she doesn't feel like...
I mean, she is Chinese, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, although she grew up in Singapore, but her hometown is in China. So she went back to visit maybe like during Spring Festival or anything. And then most of her families are there. So she just felt really, really Chinese to me, even though she said she's from Singapore. I feel like it sounds really weird, but it's the same with like Malaysians. Like, some of the Malaysians I know, they just feel really, really Chinese.
They are Chinese.
I mean, like,
Okay, we
I mean,
have
like
to.
they feel like Chinese from China to me.
Okay. That's
If
what
that
you meant.
makes sense, yes.
When you say someone's really Chinese, you mean they feel like they're from China.
Yeah, I feel like they're from China
Okay.
like me, not from another country. So it's not like their ethnicity. How do I describe it? It's like I know that ethnicity is China, but I feel like where you grow up also shape what your personality and your beliefs a lot. So sometimes you can be Chinese, but so for example, like for people that grow up in Australia, even they are Chinese by ethnicity, but like probably they are really familiar with the Western culture, and then they feel Western to me, not Chinese. So that's kind of that difference. And then when I say people feel really Chinese to me, just feel like they are from China, like they're Chinese from China, not from other countries.
All right. So Lo Mai Kai, you have no idea.
I mean, like I know because the picture you just show me,
Yeah.
it's just a rice, right? But
Yeah, but there's
when I
like
have it
chicken
in
on top of
China-
it.
Yeah, but when I have it in China, it's usually wrapped by like a plant leaves.
Yeah.
And then
I think
they steam
that's
it.
what it is.
Yeah,
Because
that's the thing.
it was like those instant food that came in like packaging in
Yeah,
Singapore in 7-Eleven,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is weird to say now, right? Like, I grew up thinking that was normal, but then now that I have to explain it to like an Australian or to like someone from China like you, right?
Yeah.
Now that I'm in Australia, I'm like, Singapore's 7-Eleven has Lo Mai Kai. And I'm Malay and from Singapore, I grew up with Lo Mai Kai.
Oh.
Like, explaining that to a white person is like, what? like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I used to curse a lot in like Cantonese and Hokkien,
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah.
it's a very weird thing. Right, then what made you decide to come to Australia? I feel like I've heard this story,
Yeah.
but for the audience, of course.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, I actually can't really remember. I think so. I completed my high school study in New Zealand, and then when I was about to graduate from high school, I was thinking to either apply for uni in New Zealand or go somewhere else.
How old were you like at this time?
18.
18.
Yeah, something like that. And then because I don't really want to stay in New Zealand because it's like, no offense, but it's a really quiet country. It's like too peaceful for me. So I feel like
I feel like Australia would be busier than New Zealand.
Yeah, I feel like I still need that stimuli. Like I need that stress. Like not too much, but I need a certain level of stress to kind of push me to improve or grow. So I don't want to stay in New Zealand. And then I was thinking, because Australia is pretty close to New Zealand, and then the education setting, is that the right word? But like the education,
Like standards.
Yeah, like standards or the way that they educate people will be similar. So I feel like it will be easy for me to transition into an Australian uni. And then I talked to my mom, and then she was pretty supportive. And then that's why I came to Australia for uni studying.
So you did high school in New Zealand first.
Yeah, I did high school in New Zealand.
How did you end up in New Zealand from China?
So I did 1 year of high school studying in China, and then that actually needs to trace back further. So when I completed my it's called middle high school, junior high school.
Okay. I don't know, but it's your.
Okay, maybe I'll explain that. So basically in China, you have your primary school first, and then you have this either called middle high or junior high, which I'm not sure, for 3 years. And then you have 3 years of high school, and then you have uni. And then when I was in that middle part, my mom told me if I got like a really good score when I apply for high school, then she's going to send me to study abroad. And then I got, I think, the score that she expect me to get. And then she, because she made that promise, so she said she's going to send me to study abroad, but we haven't decided on which country to go to. And then by that time, she has a friend who sent her daughter to New Zealand. And then her daughter really enjoyed the New Zealand culture and then studying there in general. So they kind of recommended to my mom. And my mom was like, okay, since we don't really have a preference, then we'll probably just go with her friend's recommendation. And that's why I went to New Zealand for high school studying.
Okay. All right. That's making more sense. How was New Zealand first?
It was...
Like you said, too quiet, yeah?
Yeah, it was really quiet. So I stayed at a city called Wellington, which was the capital city. So it's a really small city and then not much to do, to be honest. because the city part, it was really, really small. And then I guess when I was at that age, usually I hang out with friends and I want to like hang out with them in the city and then just do whatever we want. But because there's not much to do in the city. So basically, I feel like if I'm going to use a word to describe New Zealand to me, it would just be quiet. Like after 4 p.m. it's like no one on the street. And then even like with the shopping center, because even in Australia, I feel like the shopping center shut down really, really early.
Yes.
But then in New Zealand, it's even earlier. So I just feel like I don't have much to do. And I remember staying with homestay during that time. And then my homestay, they were pretty like...
Oh, yeah, because you're like 18, then you can't like rent by yourself or something.
Yeah. So I stayed with a homestay, which... and then they were really nice to me. So they were Chinese as well. And then they take care of me. And then they provide meals to me as well. So I just need to pay, I guess. What do you call it? Like, I pay for the rent. And I don't really need to pay for the food. Like, they provide the food for me. Yeah. So, yeah. And then my homestay, they don't really go out for activities either. So usually, like, after I finish school, I'll just go back home and then do my homework, which usually there's not much homework to do. And I just have the rest of the day, like, having nothing to do.
Yeah. And then after that, you graduated and then you decided, you know what? We have to get out of here. And Australia seemed like the quote-unquote better choice. Well, I guess in the city in Australia, it is a little bit more lively. I don't know what New Zealand was like. But then, yeah, tell me what that process was like. Because did you do your whole bachelor's or straight away to master's in Australia?
I did a bachelor and then I did a master. So my bachelor was like 3 years and then my master was 1.5 years. But I took either 1 year of gap year. I can't even remember because it was during COVID and I feel like my memory for COVID just kind of completely disappeared.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I either took a year of gap year or 2 years. And then I came back because I had placement at the year 3 of my bachelor degree, which need to be face-to-face. So I came back and then complete my following studying here.
Okay, let's start with your journey in Australia then. What was that like? Like when you first came to Australia, what was the difference? Was there a complete different culture compared to like New Zealand that you had to adapt?
To me, I feel like it's quite easy for me to adapt, but maybe just because I don't play with Western friends much, because most of the people around me, they're like international students as well. So in terms of, I guess, socializing, because I'm still socializing with the cohort that is from a similar culture to me.
Yeah, and because like for the audience to know, like what school are you from?
You mean like for uni?
Yeah, for uni.
It's Monash Uni.
Yeah, Monash Uni.
Yeah.
And I think everyone knows like Monash Uni has a lot of like international students.
Yeah, like even because for my course, so I did a nutrition science bachelor degree, which actually not a lot of Chinese international students do it. So there's not much Chinese international students in my class, especially when I first started, there were like maybe 5 or 6 international students, including me. They are Chinese. And then when I took a gap year and then came back, I'm like the only Chinese international student in my class. Because most people, maybe they don't really enjoy the course, so they dropped out. Or they maybe they didn't come back for studying because of COVID. Because I remember a lot of my classmates, because of COVID, so they got stuck in China. And then they don't want to do the online studying, so they just keep taking gap years.
Totally forgot about that because I came here right after like COVID sort of finished.
Yeah.
You still had to wear the mask. But there was no like we were already moving around. Everybody was still moving around.
Yeah.
I felt like the first issue that I faced, right, was when we were doing like the naming stuff. Because my name is Hamka bin Iskandar.
Yeah.
Which means Hamka, son of Iskandar.
Yeah.
And because Australians took it as my last name to be Iskandar.
Yeah.
So it's like Mr. Iskandar and like everything was messed up. So even when I was signing up for my rent, my phone number, all these things, right? Nothing could sync up. I don't know about like for Chinese names. Actually, yeah, I've never asked like all the Bangladeshis and my Indian friends, like, was there any issue with like your naming thing?
For me, I feel like it's more around the pronunciation because my last name is Yu. And then not a lot of people can actually pronounce it. They usually pronounce it as Yu. And then I gave up in saying my last name is Yu. So every time I say my name...
How do you spell that?
Y-U.
Okay.
So every time when they ask my name, I used to say, oh, I'm actually Yu. but they can never pronounce it. So
But is your name actually like Ashley in your...
oh, you
Yeah,
mean
passport.
no?
Yeah.
So I do have a Chinese name, which is Yuhan.
Yeah.
Yep. So usually when I introduce myself, I'll say my name is Han Yu, and then because they can never pronounce Yu.
I get what
Correctly.
you mean. Wait, so your Chinese name is just Han Yu.
Yeah.
So wait, it's you.
Because I mean, like, because in Chinese, it's
Yeah.
like last name and then first name. But
Yeah.
in Western culture, it's like the
I
opposite.
know, yeah, exactly. See, this is the problem, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
even with my Chinese friends, they grew up, they've been like, oh shit, I don't know why the only name that came out is my ex's name. You know what? Fuck it. Like, I haven't talked to her in like years. Like, she'll never find me. Chua,
You sure?
Who cares, right? So it'll be like the last name first, right? Chua Xin Yi.
Yeah.
So Xin Yi is a name.
Yeah.
Then Chua is the last name.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make sense of your name. Like, it's Yu Han. So is you the last name? And then Han is just your name. So your name is just Han.
So this is actually a really complicated story. So I'm from, what do you call it? Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, so in China, we have, I can't remember the English. It's like, it's kind of like ethnicity.
Okay.
And then, so we have quite a lot of different ethnicities. Even we're all Chinese.
Yeah.
And then within my ethnicity, we don't use last name at all. So we only use name. So actually, Yuhan is my name. But because when I do like all the registration for the identity documents, like my passport, or my
your
personal
license,
ID,
all this,
all this, because I need a last name, so they just make Yu my last name and then Han my first name. Yeah, but I guess maybe because when I was in China, when we had like English class, we will have English names, and then when we learn about, I guess, like introducing ourselves, they will tell us like, okay, you say it as your first name and then your last name. So I don't really feel, I guess, what you feel in terms of naming, only when they can't pronounce it. Like, I only have issues with pronunciation, or sometimes when, I guess, because I have a preferred name, which is Ashley, and sometimes if I'm like introducing myself, or let's say, how do I put it as an example?
Or give me like a story
yeah.
that you can tell, like when someone got your name wrong, or you're like, dude, that's not... or that's not how you pronounce it.
Oh, yeah. So, for example, when I go get my driving test, because it used my legal name, which is Han Yu, and then when I go up to the counter and they ask me, oh, what your name is, and I easily say Ashley, and didn't realize that that's my preferred name, but not my legal name. And then, so they do the searching and everything, and they're like, oh, there's no Ashley. And then I remember like, oh, I should say my legal name. And then I say, oh, it's actually under Han. And then I do struggle with that, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
And then, and then with pronunciation, I feel like a lot of the times, like, I just never met anyone who pronounced my last name correctly at the first shot, if they're not, so only people that have like probably Chinese background, they'll probably have a good guess of what's going to be pronouncing like, but never with like Western people. Or when I come to Australia, like, no one has ever said it correctly. And then sometimes I try to correct them, because some people, you know, like, they insist in saying your legal name, and then they're like, oh, tell me, like, show me how to pronounce it, teach me how to pronounce it. And then I teach it for like so many times, but it's still wrong. I'm like, okay, that's okay, just say Ashley Yu. And I kind of just gave up in that.
Yeah, because a lot of our Australian friends will be like, dude, we want to respect your culture. We want to be able to, like, it's a beautiful name. You know, we want to say it the way you guys say it. And then you're like, okay, Yuhan. And then they're like, Yuhan. And that's where the, what's that movie, Rush Hour? Do you remember that scene?
Where I can't remember.
It was basically, he was like, you. And it's like, yes, no, not you, him. Have you not seen that clip?
I feel like it sounds familiar, but I just don't have it on the top of my head.
Yeah, it's basically that, and like, you're literally the prime example, and your name is literally you. So how do you actually pronounce it? You. It's like, how do I explain this to people? It's like Y-I-U. Do you know what I mean? Like, the way you pronounce it, it's like this Y-I-U. You.
Kinda. I think it's probably because in English there's no pronunciation of like you.
Exactly.
It's just you. So that's why they easily say it as you.
Yeah.
So it's like a slight difference, which is pretty hard to tell. So I usually won't try to correct people because I respect that. Like, they just don't have the pronunciation in their
Yeah, but
language.
some people still want to try, you know. A lot of people always want to try. It's
Yeah,
sort of like,
I won't stop them from trying.
yes, exactly. So next time someone comes up to you on the street and they're like, Yuhan, you're like, no, you.
I'll be like a Chinese teacher and be like really strict with the pronunciation. Like, please pronounce my name correctly.
Yeah, it's sort of like in the Korean language, they have EO. So it's like araso. It's not araso. Like, so is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any, yeah, so tell everyone, dude, like, what was Monash like for you? Monash Clayton, yeah. What was that experience like?
The experience.
Because right now, this
yeah.
is like the peak time where like everyone's about to come over or like they're thinking of coming over.
Oh, true.
So like, what was your experience like?
I mean, for me, because I feel like my opinion is probably not going to be, I guess, applicable to everyone just because
it's just sharing your experience. Yeah?
So just because I do a lot of self-study, like even I go to, I guess, lectures and everything, but and also with my course, because there's just a lot to digest. So I tend to do a lot of self-studying. So I feel like most of my uni life is probably just me teaching myself rather than lecturers at uni teaching me. Unless I have a really good lecturer, because I do have experience with like really good lecturer that I really want to go to their lecture, and then after the class I'll just digest everything. I don't even need to revise for it because they just teach really, really well. But it really depends on the lecturers.
Depends on the lecturer, right?
It really depends on
if
the
you
lecturers.
were to compare like the teachers that you've experienced from China and the teachers from Australia, what would be your preference?
It really, for me, it really depends on the teacher, because I've had good teachers in China and I've had good teachers in Australia, because I'm the kind of person that I learn better when my teacher is good. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter to me, I guess, like their cultural background. As long as they teach well, then I like it.
Teaching is so weird because like you can have so much knowledge in something, but whether you can teach it, it's a whole different skill. So I'll give my mom props for being a teacher for like 20-30 years right now, because like I can know so much about a subject, but if I don't know how to say it to you, I'll be like, what's the whole point?
True. Because I've had teachers like that they probably have like a PhD degree or they do a lot of research, but they're just not really good at teaching. Like they have all this knowledge in their head, but they're not really good at, I guess, transferring that knowledge to other people. Yeah,
transferring that knowledge, dude. Was there like any difficulty for you when you were like in class? Because for me, it was like, I remember, because I'm in media, right? So I guess not a lot of people, if there are like any Singaporeans coming here from media, please like message me. I would love to have more friends. But every person was like, not just Australian, but like white Australian. Like in no way am I trying to be racist, but like that was my class. Yeah. Even my teachers, everyone was white. So like I found it hard to make friends just because like the culture is so different, man. Tell me how it is in China, because for me it was like after school no one hangs out.
Like you mean like here?
Yeah. After school, like no one, everyone goes home, goes to work, and lunch. Oh my god, this is the part where I hate the most. Lunch, they eat like salads. They bring like when I actually saw my classmate bring an apple, I thought like, am I in like a drama scene? Like what is happening? Like why are you guys just eating an apple? And I'm like, hey, do you guys want to go have a meal at like this restaurant or whatever? They're like, no, like it's money. And I'm like, you work, so what is happening? So I couldn't like really be friends, if that makes sense, because no one actually hangs out after work or after school rather.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of get that. But for me, it's probably, I guess for my personality, because I don't socialize that much. I don't usually approach people. Like I'm fine by myself. So, but there are times that I experience that when I try to, I guess, start a conversation with them, but because the difference in our culture, like the things that I usually get exposed to is different from them. So it's really hard to find something in common to discuss. And that's how I find it difficult to sometimes make friends with Australians. Because I guess, give you maybe an example. I don't really read and I don't do sports, but Oh, I remember when I was at uni, a lot of the times when I see like my Australian classmates having like small talks, is usually around like, oh, they watch a game or they read a book or something like that, or they listen to a podcast or something like that. But those are the things that I usually don't do. So when I bring it up, I have no idea what that is, so I can't really join the conversation. And then the things I watch, because I usually use, I guess, Chinese social media, and then I don't...
Chinese social media. I
Yeah,
thought you said
Chinese.
shiny social media.
Sorry, so Chinese social media. And then, because obviously they don't use that. And then I just don't really, I guess, read or watch stuff that often. I don't even watch Netflix. And I remember like I having friends asking me like, oh, what's your favorite Netflix like shows or something? Or they ask me what's my favorite TV show. And I'm like, I don't even watch TV shows. And then it's like end of conversation. So I feel like it is maybe cultural difference, or it's probably just me because I don't really, I guess, read those stuff or watch those stuff.
That's the thing with culture difference, right? It's when we say culture difference, it's not that like we can't talk to each other. I mean, obviously I'm Singaporean, she's from China. We can talk to each other. But there's this gap, especially, I guess we're still Asian. So like, I guess for me, it was natural to talk to you still. Because I have a lot of Chinese friends.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like talking to Australians, right? Like really Australians, I think the thing that I find most difficult, like you said, their culture is sort of like opposite of us. They really like the like hands-on watching games.
Yeah.
And like, I guess Netflix is something. I guess that's sort of like your own
Yeah,
fault.
that's probably my own.
Yeah, like you could have watched 1 or 2 Netflix shows. Like it's not even that difficult. Your English is good, so like it wasn't like a problem. K-pop, K-pop. You're a big fan of K-pop, so even that could be like a big start. But that's the thing. Like I've met so many Australians in my life here right now. It's like,
like I don't think most of I've never met like Australians that are interested in K-pop. It's usually Australian Asians.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like white Australian.
Yeah. I feel like that's the main thing that I always like to talk to people, because even recently, like when I was at work, I won't say the names, but the Australian person was talking to someone from international school, and they were just like, oh, that person's being sus, like just joking, you know?
Yeah.
And then the conversation was kind of awkward the whole time. And then when the Australian person went away, and then the international person went up to me and she was like, what does sus mean? And I'm just there like, oh my God, like these are the kind of things that I feel like Australian English and American English are so different, because at the end of the day, I think everyone grows up to a certain like American social media, American shows or whatever. But when we come to Australia, dude, there are slangs of like
like the slangs.
Yeah, dude, I don't until now like people using ta. I don't understand. Like
what's that?
You know, like hey Hammy, have you done this? Oh yeah. Oh good, thank you. Ta.
Oh,
like,
is it kind of like no worries?
It's sort of like
something
no worries.
Like
yeah, like ta. And then they like to say like all good. Like that's when you know you've become more Australian, when you start saying, oh, all good.
Yeah, I feel like even no worries is more Australian, because I feel like
no worries.
Yeah, I feel like it's more Australian because I'm so used to saying that I feel like everyone say no worries.
Yeah.
When someone says thank you to you, but then I realized when I was, I guess, in China, what we got taught is more around like you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like it's not no worries.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm picturing like you in your school, right?
Yeah,
and then your teacher, like you're from China, yeah. So if at any point am I being racist, she is proof that I'm not being racist, all right? So I can imagine you in China being like in your school and your Chinese teacher being like, okay, when you go to America or an English country, they'll say you're welcome.
Yeah, and also like when they say how are you to you, you say I'm fine, thank you, and you.
Yeah.
That's like what is in the textbook.
Yeah, and then when you actually go to Australia and then you're like, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. How about you? Like
it's usually just I'm good. Like good, and how about you?
Yeah,
just stuff like that.
But it's so different because I think I also grew up thinking like they actually, not that everyone doesn't care, but it's more like just a greeting.
Yeah.
When they say how are you, they don't really care how are you. They're just like it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's just part of their culture. Oh my God, dude, I remember first coming here and like the first conversation I've had with an Australian, I was in my Airbnb, and there was this guy, the cleaner of the Airbnb.
Yeah.
and he was like the most Australian bogan person I've ever met in my life.
Oh, like their accent is really
it's
strong.
like really like the bogan old guy. And
Yeah.
You know, you really see them on TV, that kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought like, dude, I'm from Singapore. I watch a lot of American TV shows. So I'll be fine. Like,
Yeah.
because if you compare, I guess half of the international students that come are like who are really good in English, and where they come from, they usually have good English.
Yeah.
And then the other half, it's like their English is not the best. They can understand, but their conversational English isn't the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let me try to have a conversation, because I was really like into this culture thing. As you know, like I'm really into culture, so I wanna try to learn his accent and like be like him.
Yeah.
The second he started speaking, yeah, man, you're from Singapore, yeah, oh crikey, I've never been there. I'm like, for like a whole minute, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
It was so awkward. You guys imagine, like I'm in the lift, yeah, I'm trying to have a conversation, and he is the one holding the button.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one holding the button to like keep it open, and I'm trying to close it
Oh,
because I
no.
don't understand anything this guy is saying. And then the second the door closed, after like, I'm not even kidding, it's a whole minute, guys. Like I'm not exaggerating. If I were to pause here for 1 minute, do you know how awkward that is? The whole minute was so awkward. Second the door closed, I looked at my roommate like, I think we need to practice our English, dude. I think our English isn't enough. Because dude, their accents, bro, especially the bogan Australians.
Yeah. They also speak really, really fast. Like it's
Yeah.
not just the accent; it's also the speed that they talk.
Yeah, and it's the style. You know what I mean? Especially until now, I hate it. Australians, I'm calling them out for this one, right? The way they call out time.
Yeah,
Like, you know, until now I don't understand. Like 6:30.
yeah.
Like, why can't you just say 6:30? I don't like 10 past. Like, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
I mean, like
okay, tell me honestly, when you know who says this, right? When they say it to you, do you fully get it straight away?
yeah, I guess, but it's probably just because when I take English class, they teach us how to like.
Do you actually say that in China? Like 6:30?
I mean, like we were taught how to understand it, but I personally don't say it. I'll just say like 6:47, something like that.
Okay, so 6:30 was that?
6:30.
Okay, I don't know. Like it always like I have to compute it in my brain. You know, when they say like, oh, dude, it's like 10 past. I'm like, it's 5 o'clock, so it's 5:10 p.m. Like my brain has like shift, and then when they look at my watch,
Yeah.
which is the 24-hour time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's 1724. And they're like, wait, 17 is what? I'm like, bro, it's not that hard. Time is not that hard. Like,
Yeah, I guess it just like different habits as well. Maybe some people are just more used to using past or to.
yeah, exactly. It's one of those Australian things, dude. Dude, I mean, you said you didn't have a lot of friends, or rather, it's more international here. I find that hard to like, I guess, sit around with, because I came here with my roommate from Singapore as well. And I was like forcing myself to be friends with Australians, because at the end of the day, you're moving to a different country, right?
Yeah.
You sort of want to understand how they work as a culture, then you can blend in and like understand how to really like be nice to them.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like isolating for you at all? To like just, or are you like literally in your own world of like international Chinese students, and then you're just like, you know what, we'll just live in our own world?
I feel like maybe just because I don't have much friends, and then I don't need much friends. So with the like with my current, I guess, friend circle, it is enough for me. So that's why I don't really meet new friends or make the effort to meet people.
How many people?
You mean like how many friends I have here?
Yeah.
3.
No.
Turning 2, because one of them is leaving.
Oh shit. Okay, you can. Am I added to the list? Or?
Oh, you mean, I mean like for international students.
Okay.
But I do have like some friends at work, which you is included. But if it's talking about like international friends, then it just 2 now.
Any like local friends at all? Like you could actually hang out with?
I don't think so, because I usually literally just hang out with that 2 friends that I just said, who are also my housemates. I feel like it's maybe because of that, because they are my housemates, so we kind of spend a lot of time with each other, and then we know each other really, really well. So yeah, so I feel like whenever I have something, I usually just go talk to them, because they are really easy, accessible to me. Because I literally just can go to their room and say, oh, I need help. And then the other friend that I said who's about to leave, so she's from Singapore.
Let's go.
Yeah, she is from Singapore, and then she studied the same course with me, but she is 1 year, what's it called, behind me.
1 year younger than you?
Yeah, like, yeah, and then
No,
the
like in
course,
school or like
yeah, in school.
Okay,
Is it the
yeah.
right word? 1 year, like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we'll just stick with behind. Like,
Okay,
she's 1 year.
sophomore year. I guess.
So she's, yeah, so she just graduated from her bachelor degree, but she haven't made a decision on, I guess, if she's going to do a master degree. So that's why she's planning to like go back to Singapore and China to kind of just take a break. And then after a year, if she wants to come back to continue with master, then she will be back. But I have no idea if she's going to come back.
One of the coolest things when you move overseas is when you meet someone who is exactly like you. It's even more special because like there's a expectation that you're gonna have local friends, and then you find there's a beauty as well in like finding someone who's the same race and like going through the same thing as you.
Yeah.
And to find that and to actually like have that bond is something else.
Yeah.
But weren't you at all like I wouldn't say the word disappointed, but when I first came here, yes, one of the first few things I did was like to find the same community.
Yeah.
Just because so I can find like the same type of people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's also why I'm like I love doing this podcast thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like you never know, suddenly someone in the comments is like DMing you
Yeah.
and they're going to go through the same thing.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a part of me that was like, I need to have one local friend here just so like I can really, really understand what this culture was like and like
Yeah.
just to prove myself and like
Yeah.
make a new friend. Like, didn't you at all feel like, I wish I had like one Australian friend.
I feel like for me, maybe because I don't have that desire to really want to know about the culture. And also, I guess from small talks that I have at workplace, because I do have a lot of, I guess, colleagues that are
Yeah.
Australians. So usually when they are, I guess, talking about their life, I kind of just listen, like, because I can't really join the conversation. I usually just listen, and I can usually get an understanding of what their culture or what they generally do. But I do get that feeling, but it's more around the inability to join the conversation sometimes. Because sometimes I feel like I really want to join the conversation, but because the things that they discuss, I really have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
And then usually at that point, I do feel a little bit like overwhelmed or disappointed. Like sometimes I'll ask myself, what if when I first came here, if I guess try to make some local friends, maybe I'll know more about their culture, so that when I'm at workplace, I probably will be able to, I guess, join more of those like work conversations. But sometimes I feel like it is okay to not know, because even sometimes that you know about their culture, you still won't be able to join the conversation sometimes, because it might be a topic that you're unfamiliar with, like it's not related to your cultural background. It's probably just something that you don't really get exposed to.
Yeah. I would say, hearing from what you said, I think getting work experience with local people, I think that's one of the best ways that you can really like understand, because being friends is like making friends as an adult is already hard. And then if you want to make friends with an adult who is from a different culture of you, it's like it's a different game.
Yeah, because sometimes when I'm at my workplace, I feel like so this Monday I'll probably just use that as an example. Because we just came back from our holiday, so my manager was kind of asking about like, oh, how everyone's doing, like how was the break, and then they kind of asked about if everyone has like a goal for the year. And then I remember one of my colleagues, he said how like he wanna increase the amount of books he read because he really enjoys reading. And then so then the other colleagues, they kind of ask him like, oh, is there a book that you recommend or something? And then when that conversation starts, because I don't read, and then it was like I have no idea what is going on. Like I don't know the books, and then I don't know the apps they use to read the books, and then I don't know, I guess, the community they usually use to discuss the books, and I have like no idea what's going on. And then they're all talking about like their favorite author or something, which I do have, but I just don't really read English books that much. So I do read, but I usually read in Chinese, just because I don't know, maybe because I'm Chinese, so I kind of I feel like the language resonate with me more when it's my first language, and then when it's English, first probably there are vocabularies that I don't know that I need to like check up to actually understand what the sentence is. Or sometimes like I just can't tell the beauty of the sentence compared to, I guess, a native speaker. Because I remember there was a book, I think, The Great Gatsby.
Yep.
So I remember a lot of people say that the author of that book, which I can't remember how his name is pronounced in English, but anyways, a lot of people say that his writing skill, not like writing skill, but more around how he writes the book is really, really beautiful. Like he used a lot of, I guess, words that actually make you visualize what the scene is. Like by just reading his word, you can actually have that picture in my head that what the story is. But when I read it, because my vocabulary is not that good, so I can't really tell. But if I read that in the translated version in Chinese, I can tell. Yeah. So that's another thing. Like sometimes when they say, okay, they read a book or they watch a movie, I might have read it or I might have watched it, but I just don't know the name in English because I read it or watch it in Chinese. And then sometimes I feel that barrier as well. Because especially with some movies, because they are translated so differently in Chinese, like it's completely irrelevant to the English name. So I can't connect them with each other. So when they bring up the name to me, I'm like, I have no idea what that is. But when they search it up, I'm like, oh, I actually do know it. It just translated into a completely different name. And then when they say about like, I guess the character of the name of the character, because when I watch it in Chinese, and then I probably usually remember them by their Chinese name as well. So I can't really connect it with the English name. So I feel that barrier as well sometimes. But I do agree that when you try to join the conversation or even just like listen to conversations at workplace, you will have, I guess, more understanding of their culture because they do share a lot of their life. And then, the other thing I noticed is that at least at my workplace, my colleague, they really love, I guess, sharing their life in our team's chat. And sometimes they post something and then the words they use, I have no idea what that means. I think it's the slangs, which I really have no idea what that means. But when I talk to that person, I can't understand what they say. But it's just when they type it, I was like, what the hell it is? Like, I have no idea what that means. It just doesn't make sense to me at all when they are in a sentence. I'm like, why?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's also that difference in texting styles. Yeah. But I've never looked at it that way in like how you said you watch something in the Chinese native language and then the names and everything and how like that's when I know you're like really from China because like the way you think is translating yourself in Chinese and then English. You know what I mean? Like when I think there's that you know which is your default language when you're angry and then which language comes out first. When I'm angry, my Malay and my Singaporean comes out first. So like in my root, I'm still that. Yeah. But in Australia, I have like a different personality to myself.
Yeah.
You definitely went through more than me in like the transitioning phase. I feel like, because coming here to me was like a party, dude. Like I was just enjoying myself talking to as many people as I possibly can. Yeah. There was still a little bit of like weird here and there. I think normally in Asian culture we can't take compliments compliments well, and over here they compliment a lot of people. They'd be like, "Good job, Hammy, good job," and I'm there like, "No, don't tell me good job. Like this doesn't work." But I guess before we go to the graduating part of our life, to anyone out there who's wanting to try to make friends with locals, I'll give you like the easiest topics that they love, all right? Sunday cafes, beer, bars, beach on the hottest, when you see it's about to be 30 degrees and it's the hottest day and you don't want to go out with them. That's their day where it's like 35? Perfect, let's go to the beach. Let's suntan. Sun cancer? Who cares? Like, that's what they like, all right? City, they don't like to go to the city. No, I've never met an Australian person who's like, let's go to the city today. And like, have you noticed that? Like, no one wants to go to the city unless they're already living in the city. Maybe. But other than that, they don't like to go to the city. Yep. Other than that, as typical as Aussies go, avocado toast, enjoy a nice cafe brunch with them. If you want to bring your Asian culture with them, it's more of like a fresh new thing for them. Because I remember asking one of my friends to be like, oh, do you want to try this Asian food? And they tried it. It's like, oh my God, there's so much flavor. I can't handle this much flavor. And I'm looking at them like, what's your favorite food? Like pasta bolognese. What the fuck do you mean? Oh God. And that's all they eat. Pasta, man. Pasta. They don't eat rice. They eat pasta. Pasta is their favorite.
Yeah, or like just toast with anything.
Toast with Vegemite. And then there's no other thing. It's just butter, toast, Vegemite, and coffee. Nice.
Salads.
Yeah, that's all they do. That's all they do. Trust me. Like, I'm not exaggerating at all. I have proof. She is my proof. I am not exaggerating. They're really that bland.
Yeah, like especially because I do nutrition, and then when I do my placement, like I ask my patients about like the diet history, right? It's usually like breakfast is usually cereal, milk, egg, and then with lunch or dinner is usually salad with meat, like any type of meat, and they usually just like grilled it with like olive oil. Like usually that's the basic answer that most people are going to give me.
Right, it's crazy, right? Where like you can experience life with like chicken, Hainanese chicken rice. We're here eating nasi lemak. We're here eating lentil beef noodles. We're here eating so many different types of food, and they're like, nope, no, we'll stick with our salad, olive oil, potatoes, salt and pepper. Sometimes not even salt and pepper. So
so sometimes they use spices or like natural herbs. I actually find that really like because I study nutrition, and then I guess with part of the recommendation, they do recommend you to use, I guess, natural herbs or spices because they want you to kind of reduce the salt consumption. So sometimes when I talk to people, I'll be like, oh, do you use salt and pepper often? And some people will be like, oh, I don't even use any salt and pepper. I'll just use the natural flavor of the food ingredient itself, or I use herbs and spices. I mean, like, I know I have to recommend it, but deep in my heart, I'm like, I will never just use natural herbs and spices. I definitely need salt and soy sauce.
Yeah, because they all want to be
and
organic,
sauce.
Organic and natural. Yeah, but you guys still use protection, so that's not organic, all right? Right, to the phase number 3. Yeah, on phase 3. We've already went through how you got to Australia, New Zealand, all this kind of stuff, and then your experience with international student life. This is the part where everyone is like sort of excited but very, very scared, right? We graduate. We're like, okay, now we're finally adults. Like, oh, I'm living my life. But you are.
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing.
He knows the context. He knows I'm struggling with this face.
Exactly. Like, I'm laughing because I'm also going through it. And it's been a year for me. It's been a year for you as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a year since we graduated.
Yeah.
And
almost.
I feel like it's a different reality for us international students, because now it's like we don't have a structure. Now we have to like live life on our own, and it's not even just on your own. It's like in a different country. Your support system is back at home, so it's like, what has your journey been like since then?
Oh, this is a really, really long story. I'll try to do it in a logical way, because I feel like when I talk about this, just different things that come up.
Let's compress it to like, right after you graduate, right?
Yeah.
You were trying to find a job, and then you got a job.
Yeah.
And then what's going on right now?
So I actually started applying for jobs before I even graduated, because it was just really stressing me out about the fact that I probably can't find a job. So I guess it's probably some pressure from uni, not like uni, but it's just that my course is not really easy to get a clinical job, which usually everyone want to get a clinical job, so a job in the hospital. And when I was applying for jobs, there are a few, I guess, positions opened in some of the hospitals that I want to go to. So like the metropolitan hospitals. And then it's just really, really competitive. And then I feel like my personality is also, I guess, I don't have much self-confidence. So even before I apply for the job, I'm probably thinking like, how can I even get it? Like, it's so competitive. There's so many people that they do better than me. They have better GPAs than me. Like, what's my, I guess, strength, or what makes me stand out? So I easily get to that phase. So I started applying for jobs before I graduate, just so that I think I don't have to stress out that much after I graduate. I feel like I need to start early. So I started, I think, maybe back in April, because my course finished in June. So I started to look for jobs in April, which I really don't recommend. So don't try to look for jobs before you graduated, especially when you still have uni. It's just a lot of things to handle. Like, it is I guess you still have your course that you need to do. And then when you're applying for jobs, you need to like write your resume and write your CV. And if you are the kind of person that not saying perfectionist, but if you want to do it well, then you need to, I guess, personalize your resume and your cover letter for each of the job that you want to apply for, which is really, really time consuming. And usually when you're graduating, your course load is really heavy as well. So I definitely don't recommend applying for jobs before you graduate, because when I did that, I can't apply for jobs well, because sometimes I miss the application time, or sometimes I don't know how to write a good resume, and I couldn't do my coursework well because I spent some time like applying for jobs. So I just can't find that balance.
Yeah, and you have to add, as international students, when even if you get that job, they'll ask you what's your visa, and then after you graduate, you might be on a different visa. That might be an issue as well.
Yeah. Because when I remember when I apply for jobs, I usually just make a note that I'm going to apply for a graduate work visa after I complete my course, which is not, I guess, I haven't got that one yet.
Yeah.
And then it's not very likely that you can get a job without your working visa. There are cases that you do get a job, but usually I guess it depends on the situation and depends on the company as well. But it's not very likely that it's going to happen.
Yeah,
so I
because
feel like
they'll look at your resume and be like, well, we have to wait, and then we have to do this. It's not confirmed. So.
Yeah, because usually when they post the ad, they want to hire a person like urgently. So they usually not tend to wait for you. If you are really stressing about finding a job, don't apply for jobs that you think you won't like. Like, just apply the jobs that I think you will like, because once you start this job, there is a chance that you probably stuck there for a long time. So if you're going to do something for a long run, it better be something that you enjoy.
The one thing that you did not expect getting this job that you're getting is how much the isolation would affect you. And a lot of people are always saying this thing, right? Like, oh my God, I wish I had a work from home every day. I can just chill out, do whatever I want. But there's a difference between, I think if you're in your own home country and you're at home with your parents or whatever, it's not the worst thing, but it can still be bad. And especially for us, usually international students, we live by ourselves or just one roommate. If your work is at home and the amount of time you spend like alone in your room, it gets very, very isolating. And then you don't make new connections. You don't make new friends that you usually would make when you have a new job and you physically meet new people. And that's where you get into this cycle of like, what is today? And that's what I feel like you've been facing. And you've been asking me a lot about how I handle my depression, my anxiety. Yeah, we can go from there. Like you were talking, I was going through a lot of anxiety. I can say this again. I was going through a lot of anxiety with like my breakup and detaching from someone. And every day I wake up with this feeling of uncertainty. You add the idea that I lost someone that I loved, and then you add the fact that I'm not with my family, and then you add the cold weather. There definitely is a signs in like winter season, especially when the sun sets so early. Like I was so anxious every day. Like I couldn't understand why. I was like shaking all the time. And I think you are figuring it out right now. You know, you're going through the phase of your anxiety and depression. So what's been like your anxiety been like these days? We'll get into the mood, bro. Let me get the lights to be like in the mood.
Now it's the anxiety mood.
Yeah.
The job that I apply for, it aligns with my value. It is something that I do enjoy and I want to achieve as part of my profession. But then I guess it's just some aspects of the work, it is not what I expect it will be, and also it is more challenging for me to overcome, because I know this job is going to be challenging for me. But at that point when I applied for the job, or even when I got the job, I was thinking like it is so normal that you face different challenges in your life, and then sometimes I guess challenges, it push you forward, it makes you grow. So I'm like, okay, this is good, I'll just try to do it. But when I actually started doing it, and then I realized how much it actually impact on my mental health. Because when I was in uni, even with like assignments or I guess a subject that is so hard to study, I've never had this kind of feeling. Like it has never been anxiety or depression to me. It's just, I guess, normal stress. not like normal, it's probably not a good word to describe it, but it's just stress. It is the stress that comes with a certain event that happened in my life, and then usually when that event finish, it will just go away. But I guess with work related stress, because you will be working maybe for the next 50 years, and then it's just not going to go away. And then I guess when I'm in that kind of challenging or depressing environment for like so long, my body just can't cope with it. And then that's the point that I kind of realized, okay, it is not just stress, it is something else. Sometimes even when I'm working, I feel like I'm not thinking about anything, like my mind is void. And then after work, I supposed to, I guess, have something fun to do, or like talk to my housemates, or talk to my friends, or just do something in my own time. But I kind of lost the ability to enjoy that as well. I usually just like sit on my chair in my room and then just scroll on my phone for the rest of the night. And then when it's getting to like 11, 12 or 1 a.m, and then I'm like, okay, I really need to go to sleep, but at the same time I don't want to go to sleep because I don't want my time to end. I don't want work time to come. And then so that has been really like what my life is at this stage. And then I want to change it, but I feel like I don't know how to change it, or my body doesn't want to make the change. It's like I know I can change my routine, my day routine, or I could probably do something which like to help with anxiety or depression. I know I need to do something, but my body is not letting me to do that. It's like my body is controlling my mind. Like my mind knows what to do, but my body can't do it. And then I think, as I mentioned earlier, that yesterday I was having this conversation with Hammy, and then he gave me some tips around, I guess, writing the things that I'm stressing about down, and then writing down what I need to do to kind of convert that, which I have tried before. But the thing, I feel like my body is just not doing the thing I want it to do. Like I'm telling myself like, okay, this is going to be helpful, I need to do it, but I will never do it. You know, that kind of feeling.
We've been talking about this on the pod for like probably since day one. The best people in the world, or the people who are the most successful, the thing they all have in common is that they all do as fast as they say the things that they want to do, right? And I would say you are going through that like depressive episode. The other side of depression is that people need to realize it's not only do you feel depressed, but nothing has meaning. Like your life is literally numb, and you can't do anything. Like you're just waiting for this big thing. And then some people, thank God you're not there, but like some people go through like the opposite route, where they go like self-harm, they do drinking, all this kind of stuff, self-sabotage, right? And that's why when I first started this year, the number one tip that I told everyone was go to the gym. Go to the gym and I told everyone, go to the gym sad, go to the gym depressed, go to the gym when you don't want to, go to the gym when you want to, go to the gym no matter what the day is. Just do it, because it's a very, very weird thing that you have to reprogram your brain to tell yourself like, no matter what you're feeling, you have to do it. Because there won't be a day where you have this feeling of like, I want to go to the gym. Even if you have that, right, there'll be a lot of days where you don't want to. So it's one of those things that's hard, because it's very introspective. Like you have to think about it for yourself. So for example, all I can say is you are your own kid. You know, for 18 years, your parents are the one taking care of you. And then now after 18, right, suddenly you have to take care of yourself. And you're like, how do I take care of myself? Like, because there's actual actions that you need to take, right? So it's sort of like taking care of a baby. I don't care who you are. If you have a baby, every single day you have to do something for the baby, right? There won't be a day where like you'll just talk to the baby like, oh, I think I can help the baby today. I think you'll be fine. Like you're beautiful. Like you have to do something, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same with yourself. That's why when I told you to write down the things, right? I told you specifically to write down 3 things, because we can't take too many things at once. So even if you want to write down one, right? Like for example, you said your mental health or / physical health isn't the best. So why am I stressed? because I am staying at home and I'm not moving. What can I do about it? Take a walk, go to the gym. So all you can do at this moment, right? Just keep doing this for at least a month, 2 weeks to a month. Then you can reassess, like, okay, how do I feel after that? But it can't be like, a lot of people mistake this where they feel like they have to go to the gym and they go like all out the first day where they finally go to the gym, and they go all out, and then like within 2 days, oh, I'm so sore, I don't want to continue. That's why I tell everyone, like, 5 minutes will change your life. 5 minutes of exercise will change your life. 1 page a book, 1 page a day will change your life. That's what I do with the Quran for me personally. Every day I just read 1 page. Just so, and I managed to do that consistently last year, and I like read the whole thing from start to end. And that's something that, like, for me personally, like, I've never read the Quran from like start to end by myself, like my own will. And the fact that I even did that from reading 1 page a day, like, it just blows my mind. And the final thing, I guess, I don't want to preach on too long, because at the end of the day, whatever that we're saying is about doing, right? I highly recommend you to watch the previous episode, the 2 episodes, Kum Kum and Mekan. These 2 girls are the prime example of people who just do. They're like, I cannot explain it better, because I believe in my own head, there's some ways where, like, some masculine traits where, like, in my opinion, a lot of guys will take this advice seriously. They'll be like, just go to the fucking gym. A lot of guys will take it and they will actually go. But I find the girl side of it, where, like, there's more feminine energy, it doesn't really work. But when you watch these 2 girls, there's something magical about how they live their life of just doing. My final advice is, whatever that you think that you're gonna do, the after feeling is no regrets. So I told you this yesterday, right? Okay, let's go to the gym today. Will there ever be a day where you look at, after you go to the gym, you're like, why did I go to the gym? Why did I do 5 push-ups? Why did I take that walk? No such thing, right? After you take that walk, you'll be like, I did the walk. There will never be a time where, like, you exercise and you're like, I'm such an idiot. Why did I take a walk? But if you don't take that walk, you will have that feeling, that regret feeling. So you can also use regret as like a fuel for you to move forward, because if you don't do anything, will come regret. So if you can find a way to avoid this feeling, there was a saying by this Healthy Gamer 99. He's a therapist as well, or like, what's the word, like a consultant, somewhere along those lines. People either live their life running away from something or chasing something. So you can either run away from your fear or chase your goals. Whichever it is, it's still the same thing. So I don't know about you. You have to experiment and choose, right? What you want to do. Like, for example, after this, you're planning to go to Pilates, right? In your head, is that you chasing a goal, or are you running away from something?
It's more like chasing a goal, I guess, because I am trying to keep up with going to the gym, or like just do exercise in general, because I used to do 2 Pilates a week. That's the only, like, I guess, exercise I do. But then I start to go to the gym as well, and I try to go like every day, and then try to keep up with it. That's like my goal for the year, to go to the gym every day, unless I'm feeling so sick or I get my period.
Yes. When I say every day, obviously when you're sick, you don't go. So that's kind of one of my goals. But as you said, it will go the other way, like running away from my fear, which is it's a good my strategy to I guess run away from work. I would say you can use both. You should use both. There are some things in life where I take it as like, I'm running away, so I want to improve myself, so I don't ever stay stagnant. I'm running away from stagnancy. And then there's the other side also, like, I want to chase a goal as well. So both exist at the same time. One of the things that I wrote over there is, I literally put a quote. I don't know if, no, you can't see it.
Oh,
it says,
is it that one?
No, it's not.
Is it the whiteboard?
It's not the Ni Hao Ashley. It's the whiteboard. It's the one in the whiteboard. It's the whiteboard one. It says, are you going to be the same person tomorrow? And I think that scares me, because I've seen a few people in my life that I'm not close with anymore. They're like stagnant. I feel like stagnant is scary to me. Like, can you imagine like 5 years down the line and you're like still in the same spot in your life? That scares the hell out of me.
True.
Because better is like, it doesn't mean more money or whatever. Like, you can be better in so many other ways. Like last year, one of my biggest goals was to get a full-time job. I didn't get it. but I had that feeling of regret wasn't there at all, because the amount of things I've learned last year from like growing this podcast,
Yeah.
with my health, anxiety, depression, love, relationships, like the amount of things I've learned last year was so amazing that I can't ever look back in that time and say like I failed. And I've never read books since last year.
Yeah.
And my goal was also to read 10.
Yeah.
And I managed to read 19.
Oh my goodness. That's
Which was-
actually quite a lot.
Yeah, which was
Yeah.
quite crazy. So this year my goal is to read less because I want to apply the things I've learned.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know? So it's the same thing. It's always like I don't want to say it's balanced, but it's like a seesaw. Is it seesaw? Yeah, seesaw. It's life is like a seesaw, you know?
Yeah.
There'll be a time where like you get depressed and then you have to like go back, like, okay, maybe I have to find my happiness again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then maybe one day you get too happy and you're too laxed again and you're like, okay, let's go and keep doing this. Yeah.
True. What's your book of the year last year?
Book of the year last year. I can't choose, but I would say the book that changed the way I think is Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal, because my number one thing I tell people,
Yeah.
or what I've learned from reading 19 books, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you can learn even one thing from a book,
Yeah.
it's life-changing. And then if you read 19 books,
Yeah.
you've learned 19
19
different things.
True.
And the one thing that stuck to me
Yeah.
or has been changing my life with this book was when Ali Abdaal asked the reader whether you can change the word serious to sincere. I told you.
Oh
this
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah. Oh, so that was from that book.
Yeah, it's from Ali
Yeah.
Abdaal, because the whole title of the book, Feel Good Productivity. So the whole book is saying like, for you to be productive, it doesn't mean you also need to like grind it. Just because you work hard and really like go all out doesn't equal better product.
Yeah.
You can feel good and also get good product.
Yeah.
So his thing was changing the word serious to sincere, and I did that I think June last year, and it changed my whole life. I think even when I'm doing this podcast, right, when I'm doing all the pre-interviews, we have to do the preparation.
Yeah.
I used to use the word serious. Okay, let's be serious, but it makes the other person feel like, I mean, not uncomfortable, but you can tense up.
Yeah.
It
True.
makes everyone tense up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even I'm tensing up.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I use the word sincere, it's like, okay, let's do this meeting sincerely. There's a relaxed feeling,
Yeah.
but it's still the same outcome. It's still the same chasing of that
Yeah.
outcome goal.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So another one was praying. My dad used to tell me like, when you pray, you have to be serious. And that's why usually when you see us praying, it's like, Allah Akbar, it's like very serious, right? Which is fine.
Yeah.
But I've changed the word to sincere.
Yeah.
And now there's so many days where like I've prayed smiling.
Yeah.
I've prayed crying, which is one of the things that actually the Prophet has like told us. If you've ever come to a point where you have cried while praying, that means like you've really reached a point of like a level of depth in your faith.
Yeah.
And yeah, that word has changed my life. It's crazy how like one word has changed my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might go into my book list for the year, because I also try to, I guess, start reading, because when I what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I think before my break of when I had my break at work, and then that's the point that I realized I really need to, I guess, seek some professional guidance. And then that's the point that I reach out to a well-being program, and I book a appointment with a consultant. And then after I see that consultant, she recommended me with a book, and then I've started a few pages, and I just feel like reading is actually so, I guess, powerful. Like I've never realized the fact that words.
Do you realize why? Do you realize why when you're reading something and you're watching something, there's a difference in how you react?
I feel like to me it's probably like when I'm reading, because I'm also voicing it out in my head, and then it really goes down deep in my soul. So it resonates better than a video. And then so that's the point that I realize how powerful words can be. And then I really wanna, I guess, pick up with reading. And I try to like buy a few other books on around, not just around depression or anxiety, but also around the way how people think, because I feel like my other I guess, struggle is that I overthink too much. And then I feel like maybe reading some books might help with it, or just give me, I guess, an understanding of how other people are thinking about their life. And then, yeah, just, I guess sometimes just seeing other people's point of view will kind of add new values to what my beliefs are at the moment. And then, yeah, so that's going to be in my book list if I do finish that 4 books
Yeah.
that I bought.
You actually nailed it, because when you're reading something,
Yeah.
like you're saying it in your thoughts, and then some of the words become your words. And that's where you start to like really gain more knowledge and wisdom for yourself. Because I realized when I was watching a lot of good videos about depression and everything, I always like sort of cite it. Like, I was cite like, oh, I heard from a video. And even everyone who's listening to you will be like, okay, you heard it from a video. But when you read something like that sincere thing, it actually like reprograms your brain, because you read it, and then the words in your brain, like my word is a serious to sincere, like it became my thing, and how it like really changed the way you view the world.
Yeah.
It really changes your world.
True.
Yeah.
And also sometimes videos, it feels very, I guess, educational. I feel like a example for me is like when I watch videos around anxiety and depression, I feel like the video is just telling me what it is and what I can do. But when I read the books, it feels like someone else is going through this with me. And then I feel like I'm reading their life. So I feel like that difference is what makes videos and words different as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I recommend everyone watching Dr. John Deloney, because what he does is he just takes calls from people going through life. And then there's something about, you feel like his words also become treatment for you, even though it's for that person.
Yeah.
And you feel like, because you hear this person going through like the worst time in their life, right? I 1,000% will be able to find someone who's going through worse than you, than me, whatever. Just hearing that call in itself like heals you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and one of my friends, like we listen to it together and we really like reflect and dissect what he said. And one of the things that recently hit him, it stuck to me, but it didn't really like affect my life, but it affected his life, was whatever habits that kept you to survive in your childhood are the same habits that's going to destroy you in your adulthood relationships. And for him, it was like, oh shit, like I've realized I've been doing the same things I did as a kid to get attention from my parents to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's when you realize, like, but now I'm 22 years old, I can't do that to my girlfriend. So there's a lot of like hidden gems in these things, and it really takes a moment for you to just like reflect. And I guess before we wrap up, the final thing that we've talked a lot about, because we've cried so many times. I don't know how many times we've cried off camera. It's just crying with intent, you know? When you're crying, even if you don't know why you're crying at that moment, it's like when you're crying, I think you'll sort of know. And it's hard to have this admittance, is that the word? Like admission or whatever. Like when you cry, I don't know if you get this, but like when I'm crying sometimes out of nowhere, and then while I'm crying, I'm thinking of why am I crying, right? And then you start to realize like, oh, I know why I'm crying. But then whether you want to admit in your heart, like, this is really affecting me. You know, sometimes it can be hard to even say, like, one of the things that was hard for me to admit was like, I am lonely.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt lonely until last year, where like I really like, I just admitted to myself like, yeah, I'm fucking lonely.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
Yeah, and when you finally admit that by yourself and you cry, then that after that cry, then you can feel better and actually do something about it.
Yeah. True. I feel like I kind of get that also when I'm going through this phase, because sometimes it's just all this stress going on in my life, and then I thought I know the reason, but I actually don't know the reason. And then what usually it is when I'm crying out loud, or when I'm talking to a person and I'm crying at the same time, I find out what is actually causing all the issues. And then and I also feel like crying, it does help with letting go of these negative emotions. It probably won't be in the long term, but at least at that moment it will make you feel better. And I feel like whenever you feel you want to cry, maybe just cry out loud to let that emotion out. Don't hold it back, because I feel like with my personality and then my depression or anxiety, one thing is I do like to hold them back, because I don't want to, I guess, express it to other people, or I guess maybe deep in my heart I don't want to face the fact that I am anxious or I am depressed, so I'm trying to like hold it back. But I got to a point where I realized it's just not healthy for you. And then also the people around you, I guess they are still with you because they love you, and then they want you to rely on them. And I guess when you choose to hold it back and not rely on them, it's actually hurting their feelings, because they want you to rely on them. So if you do have that, I guess, connection or that support around you, maybe just put your guard down a little bit and then just rely on those people more, because they are really willing to help you because they love you. Yeah.
The only way through anxiety is actually through the anxiety. You can't go behind it. Yeah. I wish I could do something for you, but it's also the other stick of it is, if you have been going through like 6 months of anxiety or depression while the person is supporting you, then I think at that point you might need professional help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's my case. So if you do experience it more than, I guess, even if it's just more than 2 weeks, you could consider professional help.
I would say, for me personally, when it's more than like 1 to 3 months and you're talking to somebody about it and nothing's changed, then I would recommend going to like a therapist.
Because sometimes, like, I guess people have different stress tolerance level. Maybe for you could hold it back for a while, and maybe you could hold it when the stress just kind of go away, and then you'll be back to normal. But with some people, maybe they just don't have that level of stress tolerance. And if you do feel like you need help, just seek for support. I feel like don't be scared, because there are people to help you, and even they are not helpful, at least you try, and then you know what works well and what doesn't work for you.
Worth a try.
It is.
So before we go, everyone go and try out Lo Mai Kai. I 100% recommend 7-Eleven in Singapore. And anything else you want to say for the camera?
No.
All right, bye.